Well, I'll be letting the cat out of the bag on this video. When you look at the Vital Statistics Act, and I'm only using the one that's out of Ontario, Canada, so we're just looking at what's there. Nobody on either side, whether someone's in legal or free grace, should be upset with the due diligence on this. You're required to do due diligence because it's a necessity for you to know how you're going to proceed. Which elective path are you going to choose? When you go into the Vital Statistics Act, Section 15 of the RSO 1990, and just bear with me a second here. We'll just get right into the spot there. There's a section about adding a forename to a birth registration. So we want to be careful for a moment because we have to realize that in definition, according to the Dictionary of Canadian Law, a birth name only is directed at the understanding of someone bearing a surname. A birth name only means surname. Legal surname has nothing to do with a given or a fact or what you would obtain from God, because God is the origin of the naming process. Man likes to do things in conjunction of confusion with creation, and it does recreation. So everything in the civil or what we call the legal process is all recreational. Though I'm not here for entertainment purposes, I'm here to tell you the truth. So I'm here to tell you spiritual truth. I'm not here to give you legal counsel. You can go to any lawyer you want for that kind of nonsense and to add advice and further pain to your existence in the legal. Adding a forename to the birth registration shows up. So if you have the time to go into the Dictionary of Canadian Law under birth name, if you can see that in the 4th or the 5th edition, you'll realize it only refers to a surname. Has nothing to do in the legal system with anything to do with the given name. Though they do need someone to host the event and therefore have something that can parasite off of. So therefore, when we look at adding a forename to the birth registration, Section 15 of their RSO 1990 Vital Statistics, it says, if a child's birth was registered under this act or a predecessor of it, and the child was not given a forename under subsection 10.2 or a predecessor of that subsection or under a predecessor of this act, then it says the person, always dealing with someone already in the legal process, the person with lawful custody of the child, or B, the child, if he or she has attained the age of 18, that's age of election, may elect in the prescribed manner to what? Add a forename to the birth registration, which means someone's adding something to their registration system, which would already state there already is a registration done, because the subtitle basically under the RSO 1990 is adding forename to birth registration. So therefore, the birth registration is referring to the legal surname that belongs to the state. It's the birth name in legal, and therefore that's the matrix, the womb, and where the issue comes out. But when we look further, it says that there's only two parties that can do this, adding a forename or a given name. We'll call it a beforehand name because the parents would have to know beforehand what they were going to name that child because it was not known before that. And therefore, the whole naming process rests with the parents of that child in a natural sense, because that's where the whole naming process comes from, because God gave parents the ability to give them free of charge a name. Be careful about the legal surname because it means nomen, a debt or a debtor. Therefore, that one is not free of charge. So we go further, it says they may elect in the prescribed manner to add a forename to the birth registration. And then it says, where a person elects under subsection 1 of this act, the Registrar General shall note the addition, that is positive law, that runs adding a name to one's real name of the forename on the birth registration and issue a birth certificate to the person now, because now they're becoming the person, on payment of the required fee. Anybody who's acting in monetary activity or anything to do with legalism would be involved in gain and mammon, and therefore they would be required to pay to exist. So now you're paying to live. You even have to pay to get into this crazy game based on this whole system that is in the legislation. So what really it leads to is a pig and a poke. Well, the cat will be out of the bag after we read this. It says a pig and a poke, you can find this on Wikipedia, is a thing that is bought without first being inspected. That's called not doing your due diligence, and thus of unknown authenticity or quality. The idiom is attested in 1555. I will never buy the pig and the poke. There's many a foul pig in a fair cloak. Oh, the cloak of fraud. We can go to Job 32, 21, 22. Check out the footnotes in the Geneva Bible, and you will see what I'm talking about. Need to do a little due diligence. Not going to put everything on the platter for you. A poke is a sack, so the image is of a concealed item being sold. Well, wouldn't that have to do with purchase? Maybe you're trying to chase something that's not yours. Starting in the 19th century, this idiom was explained as a confidence trick. Well, prostitutes do tricks, right? So when we look at that, when we look at selling our bodies for money, it would definitely be involved in something to do with a trick, where a farmer would substitute a cat for a suckling pig. Sounds like a kind of giving you one, thinking there's one thing coming, but you get something else. A substitute a cat for a suckling pig when bringing it to market. When the buyer discovered the deception, we have said to let the cat out of the bag. That is, to learn of something unfortunate prematurely, hence the expression letting the cat out of the bag, meaning to reveal that which is secret. The French idiom, and it kind of comes through different versions here. You can check on Wikipedia. They have different things through Dutch and also through German. But it all is to buy a cat in a bag. Refer to an actual scam of this nature, as do many other European equivalents, while the English expression refers to the appearance of the trick. Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids, because kids are goats and they're very stubborn on this, so most people are not going to get this because they prefer to basically be part of the joke, and I'm not kidding on this. You'll be part of the pun-ish meant. The pun, the joke, the ish man, and you'll be the joke man, but you'll be a human in this, and you will have bought into legal identity. So it's quite sad, but unfortunately people just don't see what's happening around them, and therefore they've invested so much time into a false legal title that's not theirs. It's just too terrible, the truth. So inconvenient, the truth, to find out that the legal system under legal rights, which is now promoted under the United Nations and the World Health Organization, will be able to pull the plug on what you think you invested into something that's not yours. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you realize that you've been busted, and they have your picture on a driver's license for trying to be head of something that's not yours, which is the guillotine or the guile, and therefore you will find out that it's just a delayed execution. They are already planning on taking out and culling the herd because they no longer need you, because they've made enough wealth and prosperity in this game. These are the people, or those that operate the synagogue of Satan as spoken of in Revelation. You better wake up and smell the coffee, because what is coming your way is not going to stop just because you want to fight it being in legal perversion of sovereignty, patriot philosophies, or anybody that is involved with anything that says, I will play, but I will not pay.